So, Alok, thank you for joining me on the show. It's wonderful to be talking about the application of AI in building materials and the home improvement industry. My ears went up when you spoke at India Kitchen Congress in April this year, and you gave a hint about how we are already using some types of artificial intelligence in our operations, in our businesses. And then you went to give some demonstrated various ways in which we could apply artificial intelligence into our businesses, various processes, and all that. It would be great if we can go in more detail and see how businesses can benefit through the wholehearted adoption of artificial intelligence. But before we do that, we need to get over this fear about artificial intelligence.
Right.
And get to understand what AI is all about. So could you talk us through, or could you explain what artificial intelligence is, what it's able to do, and why it's become so important?
Okay. First of all, Deepak, thanks for having me on this podcast. I like to study the subject of AI from an application perspective. I must confess, I'm not a technology expert in this space, but I do tend to, keep myself abreast of all the developments which are happening in the field and how it can be useful for various kinds of stakeholders. To put very simply, there are lots of definitions for what is AI on the internet, but it's basically the ability of machines, machines like computers, to start thinking like intelligent creatures, like human beings, right? That's what gives it the name at a very basic level of artificial intelligence, because you're making a machine think like an intelligent person. But having said that, lots of people point out that it's not truly intelligent in the sense that it always needs a human to operate it. A human has to give in the commands of the prompts, as they call it, to kickstart the whole process of the AI deliver their outputs. The scale quality of output is also today limited. It can only do a few things and not do a lot of other things. So in that sense, some people prefer to call it assistive intelligence, but the fact is that the terminology which has been given to this technology is artificial intelligence, or in short, AI, which by itself has multiple levels. There is generative AI, which has kind of taken front and center space since last year when it was first launched by ChatGPT. And then everybody is now talking about this eventually evolving to what is called artificial general intelligence, which is when we believe the machines will truly have the same ability as human beings to be intelligent, which is sentient. Sentient means that they can operate on their own without having somebody else direct it, prompt it, or supervise it. And that's where a lot of fear or scare comes. Different people vary in their own interpretations of when AGI will happen. Somebody is saying it's imminent, somebody is saying some people already have the technology, some people are saying it's 10, 20 years away, etc. I personally believe it's still a long way away. There are already many challenges which the current generative AI models have. There are lots of other issues which keep coming up as people use more and more of the existing models, which need to be overcome first before it starts transitioning into a superior being, etc. So there is going to be a lot of ground to be covered. And even if it becomes a sentient being, it doesn't mean that we need to be scared of it, etc. It can be managed in such a way that it's useful to humanity rather than being a threat to humanity, much like all previous technologies.
So you mean to say that artificial intelligence today, the term is what computerization was, say, good 30 years back? The fear that the term computerization invoked amongst people, particularly in the government sector. I remember in banks, there was
Right.
definitely a pushback. It'll eat away jobs, and they try to keep computers at bay for a long time. So is this a situation we are facing now?
Deepak, it's very interesting you asked this. Actually, it's not just computerization, but if you go back, for example, when electricity was first invented and then it was being harnessed to be produced and distributed at scale, so people realize the ability of electricity to also electrocute, right? And therefore the government decided to use electricity as a means to uh, provide the death sentence to criminals, for example, instead of using the current methods which are found to be uh, very brutal and so on. And therefore, this entire fear spread that electricity is here to kill people, right? And it took a lot of effort from people who were in that business developing and that technology. And at that time, that was the technology. Today, we take electricity for granted. We can't imagine life without electricity, right? And it's there everywhere. We really have pity for people or places which don't have electricity, and everybody tries their hardest to ensure that every person on earth has electricity. Similarly, computers or computerization, people had the fear, but today we can't imagine anybody without a computer, whether it's a pocket computer like a smartphone or a desktop computer like we're using now. So also internet, for example, so while computer was basically a hardware device, but internet provided one platform for all the world's information to be available easily. There were lots of fears again with that. Uh, Social media, even now we keep hearing pros and cons of social media, but the fact is social media puts millions of people together, and they're able to do so many things. We are able to stay in touch with all our loved ones at the same time, which wasn't possible without social media. And so also with artificial intelligence. I think, of course, every technology can have its pros and cons, and there will be bad actors who will misuse. But I'm personally very, very bullish that AI will be a lot more useful for humanity and will take humanity forward in many, many ways, which none of the previous technologies have been able to do.
Well, taking this analogy back to the Stone Age, when fire was discovered,
Right.
I think it would have invoked the same kind of response from people over there.
Right. People were fearful of fire, right? Till man learned to tame it. People have been fearful of every technology, so you tame fire, that's the technology. You tame electricity, that becomes the technology. You tame, electronics into a device, and that becomes a computer. You tame information flow, and that becomes the internet. Similarly, you tame the ability of machines to process information in a manner which is intelligent, much like you and I can do. That's artificial intelligence, and that's really the ability. And finally, I personally believe people who have the ability to tame will always win, and we have the ability to train and tame. So I'm sure we will come out ahead.
So you mean it's not going to be like a genie getting being let out of the bottle, that once machines
No,
start working
I,
on then they are
in
going
my view, not at all. Those kind of parallels are wildly exaggerated.
the entire humanity is in danger.
No, not at all. Those are just science fiction movies coming out. I don't believe in subscribe to that theory at all.
But then tell me, Alok, why is there so much talk about the need to regulate artificial intelligence and bring in laws? In fact, USA and I think UK and many other countries are already in the process or have already put in place laws to govern the use of artificial intelligence.
It's a very good question, right? That is important to understand. And for example, digital technology has been around for the last 30 years, and it has been growing all the time. And now most countries have some rules and regulations around digital technology or data protection, right? So even in India, we have now a very, very robust bill for data protection and digital rights. So also in Europe, in China, in many other markets. So similarly in AI, now, despite all the hype around AI and all the benefits that the current AI technology offers, there are issues which keep coming up all the time, right? So one is the issue of bias. Now, whatever AI models have been developed basis certain data which have been provided to these models. Now, that data by itself may have certain bias. So, for example, most of the training is based on data freely available on the internet. A large part of that data has come from the Western societies because they were advanced in use of internet and computing devices and so on. So automatically the information had a Western bias. And therefore the AI models seem to have a Western bias, right? In all aspects. So simple aspects like if you do not put in too many filters and write a prompt saying generate an image of a person, then most likely it will generate an image of a white person, right? Ignoring all other races in the world. So that's clearly an indication of bias. And there are numerous other examples of biases. Then there is the whole issue of what we will call hallucination. So hallucination is when AI models cook up information. So when you pose a question, when you prompt for a certain whatever question we have, it may give out answers which may not be true, right? And therefore there has to be some cross-reference. That is a problem which I think most models are very quickly working on. So they're now providing an ability to cross-refer with existing information on websites, via websites, and so on. Then there is the issue of data protection. So, for example, there is some pushback saying that these models are trained on data. And when I say data, it's no longer the way we used to imagine data, which is numbers, right? Now the data is actually written word, pictures, images, videos, audio, everything has been used to train these various AI models. Now, that original content could belong to somebody and have a copyright. So if you're training your data on a book written by an author, on a video created by some producer, on an image taken by a photographer, or songs created by an artist, etc., then there is this whole debate and question of whether the AI models are plagiarizing, and even when they're not plagiarizing, if they're being trained on my model, should I not get something out of it, right? So that's the big debate and question which is being asked, and some protection has to be there, because also the creators are feeling threatened that tomorrow there will be no need for them, because the AI can write books or the AI can start producing these images. Therefore, they will be out of business. And the AI model, unfortunately, has been trained on the work that they have done in the past, right? So they're demanding that their rights be protected. And then there is the issue of being able to generate fake content, right? So fake pictures, fake videos, fake news, and so on. So there has to be some control mechanism there where we're able to differentiate between what is real and what is fake. I mean, now we've seen just recently examples of deep fakes, fake videos which are called deep fakes, which are so realistic that you cannot differentiate them from the real ones. And they're saying that there are some content where even AI cannot make out whether it is generated by AI or not, right? So it's become that sophisticated. So those are areas that we have to kind of watch out for. And then one final area is the whole area of cybersecurity, right? Because AI has ability to navigate through vast amounts of data very quickly, and therefore it can become a superior cyber attacker, or crack through passwords and so on. So those are things that again we have to be watchful for. So these are the reasons why people are pushing back, saying let's find some way of putting the right guardrails, the policies, the regulations, etc., to ensure that bad actors can't misuse AI. And even good actors, today it's hard to predict which way it's going to go. And we therefore want it to uh, at least have controls and measures to ensure that it doesn't go off in a wrong direction. My personal view again is that AI by itself will not go wrong, but a human being along with AI can definitely go wrong, right? So we need rules and regulations to control the second bit for sure.
This is very interesting. Some of the things that you touched upon, a lot of that has already been happening ever since search became very common. We all resort to search, Google search, or any other form of search as a first reaction to when we are seeking information or knowledge. And there's no way of knowing that whatever is coming up is the correct answer. Is it the genuine information? Not even the source, whether the source is also genuine or not. So
Right.
that has already been there. Second, when you brought up media, I mean, whatever authors, writers, creators publish or create is often appropriated by these search engines and other large platforms without the original creators getting due credit for that. And third, photoshopping has always been there.
Right.
Probably AI, artificial intelligence, is speeding up the process of photoshopping and making it much more finer. What you mentioned as deepfake.
So to address the two comments separately, the first one about search. The search algorithms are designed in such a manner that they would, so they use various mathematical tools to put in front content which is likely to be most genuine. Now, how do they figure out which is most genuine? The one which has maximum referrals, right? So maximum number of people who are looking at that piece of content and who have had some positive disposition towards it, right? It's not only calculated by some feedback or reviews, etc. And that algorithm has become very, very sophisticated since the time search first came up with Google. There are lots of guardrails there. And secondly, through search, you always know. So no search engine throws up search by themselves. It will always be, they will point you to a website which is giving you that information. Okay. Right? And therefore, over a period of time, all of us have learned to figure out that there are certain websites I can trust for information, and there are many more which I've never heard of, and therefore not likely to trust as much, right? Whether it's in the field of media or whether it's in the field of knowledge, information, research, etc. So if it comes from a leading institution like Harvard, I'm likely to trust it very high. But if it comes from an unknown institution, then I'm not likely to take that as a very strong research paper. Now, coming to the bit about the media content, while there is ability, but also at the same time, over the years, this technology aided with AI has been able to protect the rights of creators. So, for example, there is this whole thing of what is called watermarking, which is used on digital content. And people are already talking about digital watermark. So, which means you can't see it. You won't see that, watermark or something in the. But when you analyze that piece of content, whether it's a picture or a video or audio, digitally, there will be a tag which says artificially generated and artificially generated by Deepak. Right, so you will know that it's AI and who is the original creator of it. So those are the kind of things that people are talking about, which you'll already know. We have to also understand that this whole thing is very new. All this while, so the field of AI is not new. The use of AI is not new. Applications of AI have been existing for many, many years, more than a decade, in fact. Almost everything we use digitally on our computers and phones have some form of AI being used in the background. It's just that generative AI brought it in the front. You got a chat bar and it said, go type something and it can generate content which can be text or audio files or pictures or even short video clips, etc. So that changed the paradigm. It took everybody's imagination. And people are now racing to figure out how to best use it, how to best control it, and what possible applications can be there, which are immense. I mean, the possibilities are immense and it can help individuals and corporations in many ways to again leapfrog themselves. Since the time we have all leapfrogged since the time digital technology came. Smartphones genuinely made us smarter. Internet genuinely made us more knowledgeable, and artificial intelligence will genuinely make us more intelligent.
Could you take us through some of the applications or use cases of AI, particularly in the building materials and home improvement industry?
The applications for this industry are, like I've been saying earlier, like in any other industry, across the board. So, for example, in this industry, there is a lot of emphasis on design, design and development. There is a lot of creativity involved, whether it's about interior design, whether it's about shades and colors and graphics and all kinds of things, etc. So there are lots of new generative AI tools which can help the creative process in terms of generating original content and design of different kinds, not just still images, but even 3D design and so on. And more tools are coming every day. As we speak, more tools are being developed, both in 2D development and 3D development. So the first area is, creative and design. Then managing things like supply chain, because there is a lot of data. Through better analytics of that data, we can start managing supply chain much better. In forecasting demand, helping optimize inventory levels and reducing wastage. Wastage is a big problem in this industry at all levels, right? So that's something that we could, and a lot of that wastage may be harmful, especially to the climate overall, because there is a number of materials which may be toxic in nature, and therefore how to dispose it off properly, etc. So some of that is something we can manage through this. Smart manufacturing solutions, using AI-based solutions in the manufacturing process to make your manufacturing lines more efficient, reduce the role of workers. And we have to also keep in mind the fact that AI is largely, we think of AI as software, but you can start embedding it into machines along with which have movement, which eventually create a smart robot, right? So once you have robots, then those smart, intelligent robots can do lots of things which are difficult for humans to do, or too repetitive, or dangerous, etc. So there is a lot of evolution of robotics along with AI, which is making smart robots, which can do a lot of these things. So earlier robots used to be designed for a limited mechanical function, which was pre-programmed. But the new age robots, because they are built on these various AI technologies, have the ability to see and sense and then react accordingly to the situation, and therefore they can be a lot more versatile. So in the area of customer engagement, for example, so service centers, manning service centers through AI solutions. Today, AI solutions can replace a call center almost entirely, or even chatbots on the internet, on the website, etc. In the sales and marketing process, so AI-generated advertising is already being used quite effectively everywhere in the sales process, managing sales calls, lead generation, in quality control, for example, as computer vision. Computer vision means ability of computers to read a certain image and figure out what's wrong with it, etc. So that those tools can be employed for quality control, various things. I mean, we've seen applications in various industries for that. So online, if a particular product is coming, you can even analyze hairline fractures in a particular material, right? which human eye cannot see. So those are the kind of things that computerization can do and therefore improve quality. And then also using AI again in energy management and or various installations, um, improving supply chain transparency, where my product is, who is handling it, and whether some tampering is going on, etc. In generating tenders and cost estimation, there are specific tools which are now available in the market, which can make that process much quicker. And many times, especially for large infrastructure projects, that can be a very overwhelming task. Preparing a tender, for example, for a large project is very complicated because there are too many components and costing become a nightmare. Again, for project management, safety monitoring, data analytics and insights, all through use of data. And then more and more customization and personalization. So we're finding one big consumer trend is in every category. When they're buying, they want more and more customization. Nobody wants to buy off the shelf. They want their particular design, particular shade, particular material.
Personalization is a big mega trend, no doubt about it.
Is a big mega trend across everything, right? Nobody wants to drive the same color car as the neighbor. And therefore, that differentiation, how do you create and so on. So that's something which is, again, AI is helping manage all that, the whole complexity of managing the entire process to ensure that I get you your personalized product or service becomes very important. And then one very, I think, effective area, especially in this industry, is there is a lot of gig manpower which is engaged in this category, right? Skilled manpower who works independently.
Right.
These will work as carpenters, electricians, painters, masons, different kinds of skills who work freelance or through contractors. The companies don't really employ them. However, they need training from time to time, and they need generic training to improve their skills, and they need from time to time training to be able to better leverage my company's products. If I have brought out one new feature, then people using my product should also be able to leverage that feature very well to deliver best results in the market. So things like those skill training is something which can be enhanced through AI. There are AI tools which can generate content on the fly, training content on the fly. So you can generate multiple videos in multiple languages almost instantly. You record the video only in one language one time, and then next time you just put in the text and it will give you a fresh video with the same person. And you can translate it into a number of languages and you'll have the right videos. Similarly, you can then simulate, so for example, you have a trained skilled worker trying to carry out a certain object, and then your mobile phone can actually read whether the person is doing the right actions or wrong actions and provide feedback and so on. So all of these tools are available under development. There are lots of companies and startups working in these areas, and it's truly an exciting space. And more applications are coming out every day. Literally every day there are new applications and tools coming out. Now the larger companies are providing platforms where they're allowing small developers to build solutions on top of the models that they already have.
You've gone through a huge list of applications which are probably generic to most industries, and definitely you focused on the building materials and home improvement, interior design, or skilled workers like carpenters, plumbers, etc. Quality control, checking of the quality of products that are produced in large quantities. One example that comes to my mind is ceramic tiles or laminate or plywood, where they are produced in large quantities, and then there's a lot of selection and rejection going on simultaneously.
Right.
Rejects are put aside, and all that is done with the human eye currently. You mentioned computer vision as one form of artificial intelligence that could replace the human eye. You have yourself also been involved in the development of the AI ecosystem in India. Could you talk about that a bit?
So I will go as far as to say that I have been involved in development of AI ecosystem. That's one of the things that we're trying to do. So personally, I've been involved, as you're aware, in the space of innovation, working with a lot of startups and conducting corporate innovation programs, which is encouraging large corporations to work with startups and improve the use of their technology to become more innovative. And under the various innovative solutions, AI, of course, has been top of our minds. Since the full generative AI space took front and center stage this year, we've been talking about how to cut short the process of AI adoption in India. So a bunch of us got together. These are all experienced people with technocrats, with technical backgrounds and so on, who have been in the industry for a long time across various, so whether it's large corporations, some of them are startup founders themselves with very good AI solutions, some of them have been policymakers, etc. So about 15 of us got together and we started thinking, saying, if you look at digital technology, India was a late adopter to digital technology. In the last 5-6 years, we have rapidly grown in our adoption of digital technology, but still a long way to go. And a lot of emphasis and effort was actually provided by the government, so especially in the area of financial adoption of digital products. It was entirely led by government through things like UPI and other products which they brought up. So what we are saying is that we don't want, in AI, we can't afford to get left behind and be a decade late. We have to be up to speed with where the rest of the world is, especially US and China, which are very strong. And that's why we put together a forum called AI for India, where the idea is our vision is to provide the benefits of AI to all Indians by providing a platform which, gets together thinkers and thought leaders in the space, academicians, policymakers, industry, and developers to start. And the primary objective is to encourage them to start working together, start adopting and experimenting, both as users as well as developers. And soon we are working on our ability to bring out an entire framework for AI, which different stakeholders will be able to leverage as well, whether it's users, whether it is industry, or whether it is developers, making it very easy for them to start building their own AI solutions or start using their own AI solutions. So more details of that we will share shortly. But a basic technical framework is already in place. And some of the other things are still being worked out, and very soon we should be able to announce that.
Well, Alok, it's been great talking to you about artificial intelligence. I think it has been a fairly exhaustive discussion, though I know that these are early days, and as we go along, there'll always be more to know, more to talk, and more to imbibe. Thanks for joining me on this show today. I hope that we'll have more opportunities to talk about how things are moving along in the times to come.
Thanks for having me, Deepak. You have been the beacon for the industry, home improvement and building materials. And I know your effort in constantly bringing out new thought and new technologies for the industry. So I wish you all the best, and let's hope we're able to make a change.